I wanted to ask you a little bit more about people that are in the service business. So we talked about real estate agents, attorneys, financial advisors, people that provide a service that normally it takes like a face-to-face conversation, you know, for people to even want to engage and consider. So you run an ad, people don't know you from a hole in the wall.
Right.
You run an ad. Who's this guy?
Sketchy person
right?
trying to get me to...
You're trying to get them to do something. And I know that deep down inside, what we're trying to get them to do is to say, schedule an appointment, schedule a consultation. So, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So if you have this short-term perspective about your ads, it just doesn't work. So what would you say would be the steps? If for somebody who's a service provider, wants to run ads, wants to grow an audience, wants to start doing something on Facebook,
right?
What would you recommend they do in between and kind of manage their expectations instead of just putting ads and expecting people to call and schedule an appointment? Right. What are the steps in between? So what are people doing to actually make people comfortable with picking up the phone?
So I mentioned this when we first started our conversation, that every business and every market has its own consumer journey. So if you think about market, the market is really, those are the people that are showing up to buy, right? You go to a marketplace, we're really talking about the people that are showing up to buy, and industries are the people that are selling, or we use the term in marketing, verticals. Mm-hmm. So you got to really think about, you know, for that particular marketplace and thinking about what your business is, and you're mentioning a service business, or you're a financial advisor, or you're an attorney, or an accountant, because we're coming up on tax season. How do you engage with that market? So each market, each individual is going to have a different consumer journey, meaning they're going to take different steps. They're going to have a different process. Their decision-making process of whom they buy from, what they do, is going to be different. So you can't do exactly the same campaign that works for retailers, you're kind of implying, you're right, that you would do for this longer relationship-based service business. You're not just going to send out an offer, buy now, right? I'm not even sure that's illegal for a finance guy. Couldn't do
finance
that.
guy, we got to get it to compliance.
You probably wouldn't make it through compliance, and it would come across as salesy and ridiculous, right? But what you could do is, you know, maybe more of an inbound technique where you're providing, and you do a lot of this, Andy, you're very good at it. You probably teach me about it. You know, where you're providing information, you're making connections for people, you're doing events, you're doing workshops, you're providing consultations. How do you then generate leads for that? Well, you go on your Eventbrite, you go on Facebook, you create that page, maybe you boost, you know, the event to try to get it in front of more people. But if you really wanted to generate leads, maybe that's about providing a white paper. So with the lead generation campaigns on Facebook, you can say, okay, you know, are you ready for, you know, 2018 or the upcoming tax season, you know, however you want to position it, and then have something that they can download. You can do that through Facebook also, which could be like 3 things you need to know to close out your financial year, let's say, right? And then once they download it, it says, you know, download this or learn more. That's the call to action. They click on the button. It downloads their name and email address, and then you put them into what we call as nurture.
Interesting.
So if you set that up through MailChimp, and you can have it, there's an API and integration that'll pull in that lead then, and you can then follow up and have, you know, a series of emails that'll go out to those individuals utilizing your MailChimp. It pulls in the lead from Facebook. You're offering them something, right? It's like, give me your information, I'm going to give you something. Right. That's how the world turns. Right.
It's great.
You know, and then you're going to nurture it through email because it's a longer term process. So you keep hitting them with interesting information and maybe invite them somewhere at that point so that they're then familiar to you. And we call that kind of, in sales, you almost call that warming up the lead, right? So if you just call someone, you're a foreign entity. I don't know who you are. I don't trust you.
I don't need you right now.
I don't need you right now. But if I see you on Facebook, you're doing some branding, you're providing me with something of value, then you're following up with these emails with all these great tips and things that I need to know, you know, creating a little bit of uncertainty, but also value. And then you invite me to an event, there's a much better chance that I'm going to respond and take that action. So it's a long tail, longer sales cycle process, and it's really about building trust. And that would be lead nurturing, kind of inbound, pulling in people, utilizing events, providing information. Most of what you should be doing nowadays in marketing is being helpful and helping people make decisions. even though you know they're not going to buy from you right away, and most
Right
people
away.
won't buy from you, but you're putting out that good stuff, and hopefully you're pulling back.
Yeah, there's this element of timing where I feel like, hey, if somebody needs a landscaper, somebody needs a financial advisor, it's like the minute they realize they have the need, they want it right away.
Right,
Like,
it's different.
at 60 seconds, like, who's the best one locally, or, you know, it happens so very
Right,
fast.
it's a short consumer journey, right? You're either going to know someone, or where you're going to go. Where would you go? If you're looking, back in the day, you'd go to Yellow Pages.
Right.
Most people don't do that, although certain demographic probably does. You know, older people might, but we know we have our smartphones. People are going to go where? Where do they
Yeah,
go?
Google. They're
gonna
Google
go to
it.
Google.
Right, they go to Google.
Or they're going to go in an app. They're going to go to Yelp because you want to hear what other people say, right?
Mhm.
You want to know not only who's out there, but can I trust them? But it's pretty quick, right? And most people trust reviews. The vast majority of people, we know, we have the data on this, trust reviews. So you're going to go to a Yelp. Maybe you're going to go to a home advisor. Maybe you're going to go to an Angie's List, or you're going to go to Google. See what other people are saying. That's kind of your set of possible options. And then you're going to make a decision because you need it then,
Right.
right? Your boiler breaks. There's no heat. It's going to get cold tomorrow.
You got 60 seconds
You're
before
not-
the wife just says,
You're
"What's
not going
that?"
to an event to make that decision.
Right.
You got to make a decision quickly, and the best way to do it is either call someone and ask them, "Hey, who do you use?" Sometimes you don't have someone. You don't
Right.
have someone. Your network doesn't have a guy. So then the next best thing is to look at what people are saying online. So you got to be there managing your reputation, and you can hit people with offers, you know, around that as well. But making sure that your reputation is stellar, so when people are making that decision, who are they going to go with? The guy with the 4.9 stars, the guy with 2 stars, the guy who shows up on Google, the guy who doesn't show up on Google, who doesn't show up on Yelp. You know, it's a little bit more simple.
It's really simple. But it's very important to be there top of mind so that they say, oh, I know a guy.
If
know,
you
I
can
know some-
afford that, if you can
that.
afford, that's what branding is about, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you can afford to be that, we talk about, you know, burst and persist. So that persist portion is making yourself the familiar face when someone's making that decision, so that they trust you. And if they see you on Google, or if they see you in a store, or they see you at an event, they're going to be more willing to choose you because there's a certain level of trust. You
Right.
seem like someone who's established, you've been around, people are doing business with you. So that's where the branding piece kind of comes in, kind of at a high level. That's where it's going to help you out. But a lot of solopreneurs probably don't have the money to do that type of branding. So it's probably down more to networking and leveraging social media and leveraging your email. Those are probably the 2 things you need to start with, right? Social, email, your website, right? Social is becoming more and more important. And a lot of people are foregoing email, websites altogether because they're going directly to an app.
What does it do? Like nowadays, what do websites do? Like for service providers, what do websites do? I mean, I always ask my question, what does the website do? Like I have to drive traffic to it. It's a second job.
Right.
What, you know, what do websites do? I mean, a retailer, you go, you research, you buy. You know, for a service provider, what does the website do? Like people come and check you out? And
Yeah, so we are one of our heads of marketing positioned it this way, and we'll wrap up on this point.
Yeah.
You know, your website is really your hub, and that's really where you're driving in traffic. You're trying to convert people. You're providing information, but it's a hub, right? It shouldn't be something that's static. Back in the day, it was just a brochure. That was the old way of thinking about websites, but now it's something that should be a little bit more living and interactive. There's a blog on there. It's informative. It's information about you, but it's also designed to convert people and to get them to reach out to you in some capacity, either ask for more information, email you, or call you. Whereas your social media is more of kind of the feeling and soul of your business, and that's really day to day, because you should be posting ideally every single day, and it gives them a sense of what other people think about you. It gives them a sense of who you are. You know, if you think about kind of your brand character, if you need to use that term, you know, who are you? What are you about? What do you care about? What are your values? What have you done? Who are your customers? You're going to find that through social media, versus a website is maybe a little bit more about information. So one is, I think, of more kind of reasonable and rational based and information based, whereas social is more about feeling, right?
Very
It's
good.
more image based. So